Some of the most impactful community involvement I've seen is kind of the simplest. Law firms I've worked with have started partnering with local businesses kind of in their either in their same building, on their same street, in their local area, where we're going to join together as small businesses to put on a festival or support a cause or promote each other, promote the community, whatever the cause is that they may choose to support together. It has sort of a compounding effect. The community improves as a result, and the businesses get exposure because of their involvement in the community.
Welcome to Great Practice, Great Life by Atticus Incorporated. What if you could hang out with successful small and solo law firm attorneys, ask them about their successes and failures, their business strategies and mindset habits, then take an insight or two to guide your own growth in your practice? Each week, Steve Riley shares an in-depth look at how to work less while maintaining high client service standards, reduce your stress levels while growing your income, and find time to make changes when you are time-starved. Steve is a lawyer coach for more than 20 years and a former trial attorney. His goal is to provide strategies to help you balance your lives and grow your practice. Now, here's Steve.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Great Practice, Great Life. I am not Steve Riley. So many of you that join us on a regular basis are quite accustomed to Steve Riley being your host. But I am honored to join my dear colleague, Aaron Rothert, and I am Lori Pulvermacher. And together we are going to talk today about holiday marketing and jump into that topic. It's already, Q4 now. And so we need to focus on this very important topic. So Aaron, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure, as always, to work with you.
Thank you. Well, for today, Aaron, we are focusing on holiday marketing, as I said, but I want to just set the stage that we're really focusing on those traditional holidays that happen between the months of November and January. And we'll allude to the fact throughout our conversation today that there's other holidays and other initiatives that our audience could certainly consider. But again, we're really going to hone in on Q4 holidays and how our listeners can capitalize on this time of year. So Aaron, why are we putting such an emphasis on ensuring that our listeners have a holiday marketing strategy?
It works. That's really the biggest thing that it comes down to. Holiday marketing works. I can't tell you how many attorneys I've worked with, and it's taken teeth pulling, gnashing, and angst to get the ball rolling around holiday marketing. And almost to a T, after they go through the process and kind of get over that hump and really start implementing, they come back and they say, you know what? It produced results. So if there ever was a marketing initiative that I can say, hey, do this and you'll see some sort of effect from it. And you'll see it within a reasonable amount of time. Some form of holiday marketing usually is that thing.
Yeah, and marketing, we talk about this at Atticus. Mark Powers is famously internally quoted at saying, don't ever, 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 ever stop marketing. And this should be one of the components of your overall marketing strategy. But certainly it's an opportunity to kind of amplify what you might be doing and how you're incorporating the holidays into that marketing strategy as well. And it's just a really great time of year to capitalize on a lot of the themes or the embodiment of the holidays and what they bring. It naturally ties well into, again, so many different themes with spreading cheer and demonstrating gratuity and acknowledging year end and the opportunities and rewards, if you would, that came with the current year.
So I love what you're saying there, Lori, about you've got that whole year worth of marketing that you've done, all of the investment that you've made into referral sources, the work you've done with clients. The end of the year is a great time to sort of take all of that and ask, what is it we can do to sort of push this over the edge? Are there things, initiatives that we haven't focused on that we wanted to? Are there people that we need to thank? What is it that we need to do to take all of that in year-long investment and really get that return out of what we've invested?
Absolutely. So, to help our listeners with that, we're going to share 5 tips or 5 insights and maybe some additional bonus tips as well to help you kind of focus on what you need to give attention to and how to effectively deliver a holiday marketing campaign. So, let's kick it off with tip number 1, Aaron, which is start planning early. As I mentioned, we're already in Q4. So it may not feel all that early for some. If for others, they may think, oh, it's only October. We've got a couple of months or several weeks to consider this. But we know that this time of year is on fast forward naturally. We know this time of year comes with its own, kind of chaos that just naturally ensues with year-end activity and the holidays. But there's other reasons too that we want to make sure that we're giving ample time. And Aaron, can you expound upon that for us?
Yeah, I mentioned before the attorneys I've worked with who kind of pushed back on the holiday marketing, and usually the biggest hurdle, the thing that gets in the way, is the planning for the holiday marketing. And the reality is, it takes time to be effective. And I would say one of those biggest hurdles in time is getting your list together. Who is it that you want to target in terms of holiday marketing? And so it's more than just a list of names. So if you're saying, it's just, I just need to think of who it is, it's usually names, it's contact information, it's, what are the personal elements that we want to touch there? How do we want to make this most effective? So that list, it just can be a bit time consuming. So starting now is necessary in order to determine who is it we want to target? Do we have updated information? How might we want to target the people on our list? Who is it that's most that we want to thank, or according to what theme we're approaching, how do we want to approach that list?
Right, absolutely. And in the vein of themes, again, there are holidays that naturally fall during this quarter and lend themselves to a good theme. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Hanukkah, we've got Christmas, Kwanzaa, and New Year's. And so those are some of, again, those Q4 traditional holidays that we can tap into. But on the ample time front, also, we want to make sure that we're considering any advanced needs for customization and shipping as well. If we're doing gifts, if we are planning an event, I mean, no matter what we may be doing or incorporating, we need to consider the lead time and planning time for that. And then any other logistics or actual materials or items that we need to have on hand to be able to execute that as well. So start early, start now if you haven't already, and make sure that as you look to your plans for next year, you're giving yourself ample time to put that in place.
The warning shot that I see that says, "Hey, we need to get this holiday marketing ball rolling," is I've got, if you listened to podcasts previously, a 6 and a almost 3-year old, and so we get holiday calendars in the mail. And so if the big box stores know that it's time to start planning for their holiday marketing, you should too. They've got huge marketing companies helping them make these decisions. Tell you, we're inundated with these catalogs. My kids are already circling the things that they want to see come. So know that now is the time. This is when other companies are taking action. This is when people are starting to think about holidays. You should too. That also means your teams are distracted. You're distracted, and it's only going to get worse as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. So help get out of that sort of muddled state and get a little bit on the front end of this wave in terms of your planning.
Absolutely. My kids are doing the same activity, Aaron. So there's must be some commonality there. All right, well, let's move to tip number 2 then. And this is ensuring that we are focusing on building relationships. And again, it's a great time of year to demonstrate gratuity, to demonstrate acknowledgement, and to allow for almost a kind of a reconnection and touch point with those individuals that we want to be top of mind with. And again, that we want to ensure that we're demonstrating appreciation for. So those are our clients, certainly, and our referral sources. So there's a lot of things that we can do on building the relationship piece with it. And some of these things kind of fall under maybe a blanketed approach or a more general approach, such as sending out holiday cards or small gifts that we can, easily distribute and give. But Aaron, we probably want to give even more thought to those individuals who've had a significant impact on our practice, right?
Absolutely. So I'd like you to sort of picture a pyramid, and we're going to start to apply the 80-20 rule here. If you've been around Atticus for a while, you've heard of top 20 lists. The idea is if you've got 100 great referral sources, there are 20 that are really invested in your firm's success using that sort of Pareto principle. And so I told you to picture that pyramid. At the top of that pyramid is the top 20%. And those are the people that you've got great relationship with, but also they're the people you probably need to thank the most for investing in the success of your firm. The good news is you probably also know them best. And so for that top 20% or that top tier, however many it is for you, you really might want to consider what is a gift that would align with the value that they've provided to my firm over the year. Not a quid pro quo sort of thing, but just a real thank you for investing in our firm's success. The bottom half of the pyramid is going to be the bottom 70%. And so those are the people that they might have some level of potential. You got their email address somehow, you've gathered their information somehow, but you don't really necessarily know them well enough to give them something customized or specific. They're maybe not consistently investing in your firm's success yet. You may not even be sure what level of potential they have. They're still in that sort of get to know phase. And Laura, you mentioned that blanketed approach. That's where the blanketed approach might apply. Something more general will go out to that set, that bottom 70. And then if I'm doing math correctly, in the middle, you've got 10% left. And those are the people that you know something about, you think their potential is high, but maybe they've not quite come over the edge to become a top referral source for you yet. And generally, this is where you get your biggest bang for your buck in terms of investment of time and development of relationship. And so for these people, you're really thinking, what is it I might be able to do in order to get this relationship a little bit further, or really determine if I was correct in my assessment of their potential. So that would be my suggestion. If you're thinking, what sort of gifts, how do I break down my referral sources and really start to approach that? Draw that pyramid, start thinking who's in the top, who's in the bottom 70, and how do I sort of suss out who that middle 10% is?
Right. And such an important reason why this advanced planning is necessary, because you do want to give consideration to that. And for those that do have, again, that significant impact on your practice, who are your strongest strategic partners and are contributing well to your bottom line, that effort to kind of identify what should be given or what that acknowledgement should look like needs to take place. And again, that needs some time and consideration. And so a bonus tip we'll throw in here, Aaron, I think, is if you're not tracking this, if you don't know the financial impact of your referral partners and strategic partners, make sure that that's something that you're incorporating into your metrics and tracking mechanisms. So with these individuals that are making that big impact in our practice, we do, again, we want to have a more on purpose or intentional gift giving initiative around them, or some other form of acknowledgement. But oftentimes this does come in the form of personalized gifts. And I know that it can be inundating or daunting sometimes to have that kind of brainstorming process and not know what someone could give. And there's no shortage of ideas that you could come up with, but sometimes it's hard to get the ball rolling. So to help our listeners with this, Aaron, in the show notes, we are including a handout that is a gift giving guide. So you've used this with a number of your clients that you've worked with. How are our audience listeners going to use the gift giving guide?
So in the gift giving guide, it lists different sorts of hobbies, interests, types of people, and then across it, it will give particular types of gifts that you may consider for that type of person. So you will identify, what is the type of person, and then use the guide to then start to narrow your thinking around what gift might make the most sense for that person.
Right. So if you've got someone who is a sports fanatic, or loves is a foodie. It has different ideas associated with that. And then again, there are a lot of subscription-based services. There are a lot of personalized options. Aaron, we ask this question every year when we present to our group on the idea of holiday gift giving, and always ask for ideas where folks can share either things they've done as part of their firm's initiatives, or things that they've experienced with folks that have given them gifts as well. And I know we've heard some really creative ideas around this as far as different gifts. And recently we had members share with us that individuals have done kind of local honey, or olive oil, or maybe a nice alcohol choice, and are able to kind of customize and a label with that, and make it a little bit more personalized. And we've heard about folks kind of going through the effort to kind of create some charitable or some warm goodwill ideas as well, where they've distributed apple or pumpkin pies during the holidays. So again, we're looking at differentiating the types of referral sources and clients that we have to determine kind of that best match of what we can apply for that gift. So, just again, if you're not tracking this, if you don't feel like your referral sources well enough to determine what would be an appreciated gift, that's your big indicator that you should probably be carving out more time with these strategic partners, and getting to know them better throughout the year, so that you can identify something personalized for them.
Hi, it's Steve. Sorry to interrupt this episode, but if you're new to Atticus and you're listening to our podcast and you don't understand how a practice advisor works, in this particular case, you're listening to an interview that features a practice advisor who's really coaching and advising someone how to grow their practice. If you're curious on how to work with a practice advisor, I'm going to put a link in the show notes, and I'm going to give you a complimentary, no-charge practice growth diagnostic. So you can talk to one of our membership directors about how to work with a practice advisor. But if you've never had the opportunity to work one-on-one with one of our top flight practice advisors, I'm going to encourage you, as you listen to this episode, ask yourself, would somebody like this be able to help me and help me grow my practice and help me cultivate a great life? With that, thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
The one caveat I would add here is don't let the personalization scare you away from participating in this sort of holiday marketing. So maybe you want to do the gifts, but you don't have time to personalize. You don't have the team. Your ideas are too expensive. Whatever the excuse is, that's okay. A general gift is better than no gift. I guess, unless it's something offensive. So we'll stay away from.
We'll assume it's not, right?
We'll leave an impact, I guess,
Right.
but maybe not the one you wanted to.
Right.
But we sometimes poke fun at everybody gets the Harry and David gift box, or things like that. The reality is, I've got 2 or 3 firms I work with who just to get the ball rolling started with the Harry and David gift box, and got 2 or 3 referrals out of those gift boxes, just because they did something and acknowledged and reached out and sent that gift.
Absolutely. And I've received gifts from, strategic partners I've worked with over the years. And it really is just the acknowledgement. It's like, was this a shock and awe type of, gift? No, but it was the realization that they thought well enough of me to send something to me, to ensure that they had my, home address, have it shipped to me, have it arrive, timely, all of that speaks volumes as well. So I love that point, Aaron, as far as not letting that be a hindrance, because we can always find reasons why we can't get the ball rolling on that. So determine what you can execute this year. And again, look forward to 2025 and beyond. All right. So our third tip then is just creating an engaging holiday campaign. There are so many forms of marketing that we can take, and then up to this point in our conversation, we focused a lot on the gift component of it, the acknowledgement of the audience that we want to include. But there's so many ways to tie in our holiday campaign into all of the other facets of our marketing strategies. And so I know it varies from one firm to the next, the number of different marketing channels that they might be utilizing. But so many of the firms that we work with do have, a website. They have their social media channels. They have maybe email campaigns and initiatives that they do. So it's probably a good idea, right, Aaron, to infuse their theme and their holiday marketing campaign into those channels.
It is. It it just turns up the volume on the holiday marketing is what it does. So certainly a specific gift to a particular individual that can have a huge impact, especially if it's personalized. But there are only so many people that you really want to do that for, and your contact list is likely much larger than those people that you want to get personalized gifts for. And so to have the broadest impact, making sure you look for ways to integrate your holiday marketing into kind of all of your marketing channels really does give you the sort of the biggest bang for your buck as you enter the holiday season. And it helps you not sort of get lost in the mix of everything else that's going on, because that same message is seen through all of your channels, and it's shot not just sort of a scatter shot here and there. It's a much broader approach, and that consistency means it becomes more recognizable.
Absolutely. And it's an opportunity to tie in any charitable components that you want and the community component as well. So, and this is where you can get, fun or cute or creative with tying in themes, right? We've talked about the different holidays and how they might have themes that naturally are invoked from them, but you could do a Thanksgiving gratitude campaign as an example and do different gratuity related posts throughout the month of November to tie that to Thanksgiving. There could be a holiday charity drive. You could do the 12 days of giving. Again, there's a number of different themes that we could pull from, and that can help us because again, sometimes the creativity is the roadblock to getting started. But we can borrow from the themes and the norms of these holidays to get us some traction in developing some ideas. And if we do have the benefit or support of somebody who's owns marketing within the firm, or we partner with a marketing service provider, have them go to work on the creativity of executing that as well.
And looking for ways, I know we'll talk about this more, but looking for ways to get your team involved in that campaign. So you mentioned the charitable initiatives. So if there's a charity that members of your team support, you can, again, it's that volume and momentum. The more people from your firm who are participating, the broader the impact, the more it means. You mentioned the Thanksgiving gratitude. I've worked with some firms who've done gratitude challenges or thank you challenges where the firm provided thank you cards. And the challenge was for every team member to send a certain number of thank you cards a week. And if they completed the challenge, there was a reward at the end. And some firms did one a week. Some firms really ramped it up and did five a week, just however you want to do the challenge. And the rules were send the thank you card to whoever you feel like you should be thanking. They could be connected to the firm, they could not be, but make sure you send it. And that way we're sort of broadly reaching out and running this thank you campaign. Uh, and the firms involved, you start to get community involved, and again, the impact starts to grow.
Yeah, and again, it seems modest to send a thank you card, but these are dying gestures and dying arts of the handwritten note and the handwritten thank you card. And so again, it demonstrates the appreciation, the gratuity that you have, and it's a great illustration just by taking the time out to send that, and is going to speak, volumes over, doing nothing at all. So, and tied to this is our fourth tip, Aaron, which is utilizing social media and community involvement. So it kind of comes with that. If we're creating a holiday campaign, if we're infusing some theme around our initiative, we definitely want to tie into social media, community involvement. Again, the community involvement piece ties really well into the holiday season. There's so many organizations that utilize the holiday season to amplify their own marketing efforts, and we can piggyback off of that, or we can partner with other organizations or other community efforts to have an even bigger impact, create goodwill, and support our reputation and involvement in the community as well.
Yeah, I some of the most impactful community involvement I've seen is kind of the simplest, where law firms I've worked with have started partnering with local businesses kind of in their either in their same building, on their same street, in their local area, where we're going to join together as small businesses to put on a festival or support a cause or promote each other, promote the community, help a portion of the population in whatever the cause is that they may choose to support together. And it has sort of a compounding effect because the community improves as a result, and the businesses get exposure because of their involvement in the community. And it's just, I think the holidays become a great sort of catalyst for that kind of involvement, the perfect legitimate excuse to reach out to those around you and say, hey, how might we be able to partner together to really make a difference? How do our visions align in terms of our businesses and also the impact we'd like to have on the community?
And a lot of these are no money investment required. It's just the time and effort and energy, if you would, which, those are in shortage as well. But, it's not the overcoming of the production schedule or the shipping and things of that nature. But again, just some initial planning. But you can involve your team, and you can really, again, involve others that help spread the message, because now you have multiple individuals or multiple organizations that can be sharing the posts or cross posting and giving even more exposure to it. You can create a unique holiday hashtag that you can use in your social media initiatives also. But I know I've worked with attorneys who, again, they want to do a gratuity type of theme. And so they identify their best referral sources, and they go out and do a little video that they post on their Facebook, giving kind of a shout out to their referral sources. And who doesn't like to be acknowledged or given free and bonus exposure? And again, very minimal cost other than the effort incorporated. All right. So, our last big tip for our discussion today is doing that forward look, right? So, let's assume we've already kind of, hit the fast forward button, and we're looking at turning the calendar on the new year. Tip number 5 is make sure you're reflecting on your new year and you're setting goals associated with your holiday marketing plan for next year, and then truly your holiday strategy that's a part of your overall marketing strategy for the 2025 year. But tip number 5 is just reflect on the year and then set goals around it. As we indicated, you might need to start small this year. It might be the snowball effort year after year and really turn into something magical and exciting and much larger than you anticipated. Or it may maintain some degree of modesty, but again, is done with intention. So we want to make sure that we're, setting goals, and we're kind of doing what worked, what didn't work, right? Exercise, Aaron, that's something I think that we apply to so much of the work that we do with our attorneys.
It absolutely is. When you're thinking through your holiday marketing and what is your plan for this year, and you say, oh no, I don't have these things in place, or I haven't tracked these numbers, or I wish I would have done this. That's a great opportunity for that reflection, and opportunity to say, okay, what is it then that I need to have in place in 2025 so that I'm not in this same position next
And we alluded to it at the beginning of the conversation that, the year end does come with a natural amount of chaos and stress and time crunch. And so perhaps your reflection will identify that maybe a year end or Q4 marketing strategy around gratuity, gift giving, and your referral network isn't the ideal time. It may need to be somewhere else throughout the year. And Aaron, I know you and I both have firms that we work with that capitalize on different holidays or different times of the year for their gift giving initiative.
year. Yeah, I do. One of my favorite, I've got a firm that basically owns St. Patrick's Day, at least in terms of law firms. There's no one else in their area doing St. Patrick's Day. They've The great thing is they've done it now for so many years, held their St. Patrick's Day party, that people want an invite to the St. Patrick's Day party. And so they're asking, am I going to get my invite? Is it And the response is, well, everyone's invited, but we do send out invites to our great referral sources, and so that's why you've received one in the past. And they'll make adjustments to what those invites look like. So I think this last year they were attached to a bottle of whiskey, for people that they knew would appreciate the whiskey. And it just uh, kind of it's the general party to thank everyone and have that broad impact and to own the holiday. And but then they also have tailored it down to also appreciate their great referral sources in a particular way by sending those specific handwritten invites with some sort of gift or something interesting attached. And so it becomes that distinguishing factor. I don't just want to come, I want an invite to this thing because it has become a status symbol.
Well, you get the bottle, the special invitation on the bottle, and but what a great opportunity for the firm to say, yeah, these are the folks that are on the list, and this is why they're on the list. And so, if you want to be there too, we are happy to take your referrals as well. So, it creates some kind of notoriety around it, some excitement around it. Certainly, again, doesn't have to be a big event because that can be daunting and intimidating to a lot of folks. Also, I worked with an attorney who was doing the year end push for that gift giving and identifying her top referral sources and doing some customized and homemade packages that she sent out. And she also kind of gained some, recognition around that and some anticipation, expectation that every, year her audience was saying, "Oh, I hope I'm getting that. Am I still getting that? Are you still doing that?" And so when we evaluated her marketing strategy for the year, it was just that Q4 timeframe was really too difficult. It had too much jammed into it, she was under a lot of stress to try to do that. So we moved hers to the summer months, and so kind of kids getting out of school, summer kicking off. She does now a gift package to her top referral sources tied to the summer months, wishing her referral sources a relaxing, joyful, and fun-filled summer. She does a nice cooler or tote bag and fills it with all kinds of summer-related items, plus her homemade treats and other things that she puts in there. And now she's got a differentiation factor, right? She's not getting lost in the mix of the year-end stuff because not many people, are probably doing a specific, school's out, summer's here type of kickoff like that. So it stands out as well and can be memorable for that reason as well.
Most people that time of year are planning their own vacation and ready to get out of here, and so they're not thinking about the marketing, and then they get that gift bag, and it sort of coincides with their own thinking and planning, and it feels, wow, they know me, they know where I'm at in life. So I love it. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of holidays that we could tie into, right? There's a National Wine Day, a National Chocolate Day, there's a National Gratitude Day. So I think there's a national something almost every day of the calendar. So, look at that to try to think of ways that you can create some ideas as well. And again, in the show notes, we'll have the gift giving guide handout, but then we also have just a holiday planning worksheet just to help you get started with jotting down some of the ideas. So hopefully those will help you in your endeavor. Aaron, a bonus tip, but you've alluded to it a couple of times in our discussion already, and that is involving your team in this process.
Yeah, sorry for ruining the bonus tip, but we'll give you some bonus to the bonus.
Yeah.
So absolutely, this is really the who not how approach. That you only have so much capacity to get so many things done, and again, coming back to those attorneys that I worked with who resisted the holiday marketing push, it almost there was the planning element, the time element, but really what it came down to was too much was reliant on them. And so looking for team as leverage point is really key. And you may have to look in a few places. It could be existing team that you can get existing team excited about it. They've got capacity. You can get them rolling on it, especially if you start soon enough. You may also have to consider outsourcing and hiring someone. Could be someone virtual, could be a local marketing assistant or a local service. But team really is key if you want to have the biggest impact. You don't want to stress yourself out, and you want your marketing push to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not realistic that this can fall to the shoulders of the founder, the attorney themselves within the firm. So leveraging resources and again, planning to acquire additional resources to make sure that they can execute this. Excellent. Well, those were our tips today, Aaron. Again, we talked about the importance of starting that planning early and ensuring that we're not creating more stress than necessary during the Q4 time of the year. Focusing on those key relationships, developing engaging campaigns, and then leveraging channels like social media and community involvement to get more exposure and more reach with our holiday campaigns. And then finally reflecting on what worked, what didn't, and setting goals for the next year. So hopefully these tips were helpful and will allow our law firms that are listening to really implement a strong strategy for themselves. Any additional closing comments you'd like to share, Aaron?
Do something. Just do something. So even if you say I can't execute on these 5 tips or I can't execute on half of the tips, don't let that be the hindrance to you doing something around holiday marketing to reap the benefit of that, the way that it will grow your relationship, the impact that it will have to lead to potential referrals. So even if it's 1 or 2 people, start there and do something for those 1 or 2 people. And it may be just taking them out to lunch or coffee or calling them up on the phone and telling them you appreciate them. That's free, but it's something and it will develop rapport. And so identify those relationships, pursue those relationships. Whether or not you can use these tips, great, do something.
Great reminder. It really is all about that connection and that appreciation. So excellent. Well, I'd like to thank our audience for tuning in and listening to this today. And thank you to Steve Riley for letting Aaron and I take over the podcast. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks for joining this week's episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Please tune in weekly to get the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and don't hesitate to share it with a friend who you think this episode could help. With that, thanks, and I hope you enjoy next week's episode.